Smith, I'm the head of the organization that just recruited you.
You call dumping me in the river and reshuffling my face recruitment?
Yep, it works.
Hi, I'm Johnny, and this is Johnny Likes, the show where I talk about movies that I like. Today I'm talking about an action-adventure film that wanted so very badly to become a hit franchise. Today, Johnny likes Remo Williams. The adventure begins.
Tell the world.
A tough street cop has his death faked for him, and he's given a choice. Either join up with a nameless, faceless government agency, or be dead for real. He obviously chooses the agency, otherwise we got no movie. And he is given a brand new name and face.
You've got a new face, new fingerprints, even a new name. Williams. Remo Williams. A lot of thought went into it.
He gets sent to Chien for training. Chien is an elderly Korean man who is a master of Shinanju, the most deadly martial art known to man.
Kung Fu, Karate, Ninjutsu, they are all but shadows. Shinanju is the sun.
Chien's also kind of sassy.
Do you know why Americans call it fast food? Because it speeds them on the way to the grave.
Chien whips Remo into shape, and soon enough Remo finds himself up against Grove Industries, a corrupt military defense contractor. As if there's any other kind. For most people, I would think that this movie is one where you only have the vaguest memory of it, if any at all. Maybe you remember seeing it on the shelf at the movie store, kind of what the poster looks like, or maybe you saw little bits of it on cable TV, but you don't really recall anything about it. I was once one of these people. I had this vague memory of kind of the training scene with Remo and Chien, but I couldn't remember any sort of details about the plot, or really anything else about the movie except for this kind of vague montagey training scene. And I could not for the life of me figure out what this movie was. I knew I'd seen it a few times as a kid, but all the major details of it eluded me. Eventually, the internet gods smiled down upon me, and I came across a post that mentioned Remo Williams. I was able to track down a copy of the movie, and sure enough, this was the film that had eluded me and tickled my brain incessantly for months. And it turns out it's a pretty decent 80s adventure movie. The first half or so, where Remo is recruited by the agency and he's being trained by Chien in all these different interesting exercises, was very entertaining. It seemed to me to be inspired by other 80s fare such as the Rocky films and Karate Kid. Now, I wasn't a kid who grew up watching Rocky and the Karate Kid. In fact, I've never actually seen the Karate Kid. Somehow. But I am familiar with kind of the general gist of it. So this is actually the movie that I think of when people mention an 80s training montage. The training that Remo goes through is slightly fantastical, a little bit far-fetched, but it has this really cool, almost mystical element to it. There's a bunch of cool training stuff, but my favorite bit is where Remo has to climb up to his bedroom, which is on the second floor of a big open concept loft. And he has to use elements of the room, almost like an adult playground or like an obstacle course, something like that. So he's hopping from thing to thing, precariously balanced at every stage, and he finally makes it to the top. And he yells down to Chien that he made it, and Chien hasn't even been watching, and he's definitely not impressed. So he says, "Okay, now do down." And Remo goes, "No problem, down's easy." But then Chien turns out the lights.
What is your problem? Whoa! Pathetic.
It's predictable, but it still puts a smile on my face. Remo's first big test happens on some scaffolding that is surrounding the Statue of Liberty. Remo has to fight off some goons that were hired to kill him. And in the process, he has to overcome his kind of fear of heights.
Hey, what are you guys, crazy?
You got no right up here, mister.
Authorized personnel only.
I enjoyed this scene. It's got some interesting little bad guys, especially the guy who just can't stop chuckling. Very James Bondy. After that, the next big action piece is where Remo and one of his recruiters have to break into a warehouse that Grove Industries owns. And they find themselves up against some very clever Dobermans. And it's also a pretty good time. Finally, Remo gets sent on his first truly solo mission, which is to assassinate George Grove, the head of Grove Industries. Or Grove Corporation, whatever the Grove thing that they're called in the movie. I can't remember the exact detail. So this is where the movie started to lose me a little bit. Up until this time, it was quite exciting and pretty original-ish. The final act takes place on a military training base, and I found that it was just kind of generic sneaking around and gun shooting stuff. It was kind of disappointing that Remo didn't do any super cool Shinanju ninja type stuff. There's like a little bit of it, but if you would have told me that he was just an ex-Navy SEAL who knew karate, I would equally believe that. There was nothing really special about it. And after all the training that he went through and kind of the emphasis that was put on the Shinanju type of training, I would have liked to have seen that a little bit more fully realized. Except for the bullet dodging finale. That was pure Shinanju. So Fred Ward played Remo Williams in this, and I thought that he was a very good fit. He would have been in his early 40s at this point, and he seems to be in excellent physical shape. And it also looked like he did a fair amount of his own stunts, which is pretty cool. Like, these aren't Jackie Chan level things, but they are still impressive nonetheless. So Joel Grey played Chun. Now, I don't know why they got, like, a 50-year-old white guy to play an 80-ish-year-old Korean, but they did. Nevertheless, Grey was entertaining as the condescending, racist, and sexist Shinanju master. He and Ward had excellent chemistry, and it seemed like they were both genuinely having fun.
Just remember, I won him. He's mine.
J.A. Preston and Wilford Brimley were also great as Remo's recruiter and head boss. This movie also had Kate Mulgrew as Major Fleming in a supporting role. She played a woman in a field dominated by men who has to put up with all the BS that goes along with something like that. Especially back then, and most likely still today. I can't speak for that, but I assume. The score in this was done by Craig Safan, and it was pretty catchy, I gotta say. You could tell that they were going for something kind of Indiana Jonesy. But with like a high-tech modern edge. So basically, it was synth pop with an orchestra. Sounds weird, but it worked for me. And like Remo's theme, pretty catchy. So I got the impression that this movie seemed to be trying to cash in on a bunch of different franchises all at once. To me, I just kind of picture like coked up producers in big suits going, okay, check this out. It's Indiana Jones meets Karate Kid meets James Bond. And the other producers were like, yes please, I would like all those monies. And that's how it got greenlit. It was based on a series of novels called the Destroyer series, and I don't know anything about them. I've never read them, never heard of them before. So I'm not sure how accurate any of this movie is compared to the books. I just think they were going for kind of a blue-collar American James Bond type of feel here. In the end, it never really caught on, as it wasn't like a big splash with critics, and it just didn't make money at the box office. So this isn't the greatest movie in the world, but I still have a lot of fun with it. It's got enough funny and memorable action stuff to be worth your time, and it's not super violent or offensive. I would easily watch this in a family setting. I would definitely classify this as a matinee movie. I wouldn't watch it as the headliner in your movie night. So with all that said, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. The movie has problems, but I still enjoy it quite a fair amount. So other stuff to check out, I would watch FX, I would watch Stakeout, and maybe Dragnet. So, what did you guys think about Remo Williams? What do you guys want to watch me talk about next? If you could let me know in the comments, that would be great. And before you click on out of here, if you could do me a favor and like and subscribe, that would be super. It is quick, free, and relatively painless. Plus, it really helps me out. Thanks for watching me talk about movies for a little bit, and you can tune in next time to see what else Johnny likes.
That's a nice uniform. Great buttons.